Oh my Christ, oh my Christ, oh my Christ, oh This reading is from Affirmations for Self-Healing by Swami Kriyananda on service. Service is ennobling. It is a way of offering our human littleness into the great reality that is God. Service should not be given with the thought that one is serving people merely. It should be given with an inward consciousness to the Lord, who resides in all creatures. When we serve others in this spirit, we find our own spirits becoming freed from egotism. Peace then fills us, in the realization that there isn't anyone with whom we need compete. What joy to think that we belong to God. Let's affirm together. I will serve God through others, and by my service to Him, release the hold the ego has on me. I am free in God. In God I am free. I will serve God through others, and by my service to Him, release the hold the ego has on me. I am free in God. In God I am free. A little quieter, I will serve God through others, and by my service to Him, release the hold the ego has on me. I am free in God. In God I am free. And whispering, I will serve God through others, and by my service to Him, release the hold the ego has on me. I am free in God. In God I am free. And silently, I will serve God through others, and by my service to Him, release the hold the ego has on me. I am free in God. In God I am free. And please pray with me silently. All that I do, Lord, I do for love of Thee. Accept the flowers of my service to Thee, as I place them on Thy altar of omnipresence. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Sunday Satsang here in Bangalore. I would like to introduce three wonderful brothers and sisters from America this morning who just arrived on the airplane, and they rushed here so they could meet all of us and to share with us their experiences as servants of Master in this work. We have Gloria. You want to stand up? Gloria's from the village, and she is an author and also a wonderful teacher and a wonderful devotee. And welcome to Ananda. I'm glad you're here. And this is Esther, and she is also a wonderful devotee and our dear sister, and she has opened actually 3 Ananda Living Wisdom preschools in the Bay Area, which is quite a feat in itself in the middle of Silicon Valley, just to prove that that can be done even in Bangalore. So she's going to be speaking this morning on how she did it and how we can do it. And also this is Frank. And Frank is our dear brother from Los Angeles, and he's the manager of Los Angeles City Community. So he has a huge job, and even he was surprised from Los Angeles about the traffic in Bangalore this morning. He looked out the window, and the taxi said, "Oh, there's just no traffic." And he said, "There isn't." So welcome to all of you. We're going to begin with a reading from The Whispers from Eternity. And this one is called Demand to Find God Anytime, Anywhere. Teach me, O Father, to find Thee in the cave of my heart, that I may walk with thee everywhere. Teach me to hear thee in silence, that I may hear thy voice beneath outer noises. Teach me to find thee in inner peace, that I may be with thee calmly in the midst of outer tumult. Hubbub or silence, tumult or peace, I care not, so long as thou wilt teach me to find thee anywhere at any time. And I want to read just a short reading from The New Path, Swami Kriyananda's The New Path, on what he has to say about community and how it ties us all together. This is the last chapter, and it's from A New Way of Life. One of the pressing needs nowadays is for what Yogananda called world brotherhood colonies, places that can facilitate the development of integrated, well-balanced life, setting an example to all mankind of the advantages of such a life. Cooperative communities ought not to be isolationist, like medieval villages, nor in any sense a step backwards in time, but an integral part of the age in which we live. Cooperative spiritual communities are needed, especially as a means of fostering deeper spiritual awareness. Paramahansa Yogananda used the simile of a young sapling, which requires protective hedging against animals until it grows large and strong enough to stand exposed to them. The devotee, too, he said, requires the protection of a spiritual environment until he develops the strength in himself to be able to move through the world unaffected by its swirling currents of worldly desire. People today who recognize the need in society and in themselves for a more spiritual way of life need hardly have pointed out to them the difficulties involved in such development. For every affirmation of spiritual values, the world cries out 1,000 times from all sides that opulence is the answer to all human needs. The result is spiritual confusion. In a recent survey, children in America were asked who their heroes were. The largest number named actors in their favorite television programs. The next largest chose prominent athletes. Then came well-known politicians. Only 2% chose famous writers or scientists, and none chose people for their spiritual qualities. When Dr. Radhakrishnan was Vice President of India, he said to me, "A nation is known by the men and women its people look up to as great." By this standard alone, it must be clear that America's spirituality, though potentially indeed enormous, requires careful cultivation. Cooperative spiritual communities, or world brotherhood colonies, provide a vital solution to one of the most pressing needs of our times, an opportunity for those who want to develop spiritually to satisfy that desire in a supportive environment, and thereby to set for the rest of the world a dynamic example that spiritual principles really work and that they are practical. One of the fundamental needs of our age is for putting down roots again. We have extended ourselves too far outward from the self within and from the natural rhythms of the planet on which we live. Even in our outward human associations, we have lost touch with reality. The average person in America today moves over 14 times in his life, not to new homes in the same community, but to different communities altogether. Loneliness has become chronic. Friendships tend to be of the cocktail party and patio barbecue variety, and not the deep bonds that people form as a result of trials and victories shared. We know people to smile with, but not to weep with, not to confide in, not to go for help in times of physical, emotional, or spiritual distress. Small spiritual communities offer a viable alternative to the depersonalizing influences of our times. People living and working together, sharing together on many levels of their lives, suffering, growing, learning, rejoicing, winning victories together, develop a depth in their outward relationships as well that helps them inwardly to acquire spiritual insight. And so When I think of Ananda and I think of the worldwide movement that Yogananda started, spiritual communities, so many years ago, 50 years ago, and here we are in India after 7 communities and countless centers and countless meditation groups and people meditating together, living together, sharing their spiritual lives together. It just brings tears to my eyes because in the beginning we did never know that it would grow like this. We didn't have an idea. Swami had an idea, but we had to grow into it. And because of that, look what's happened all over the world. And now we have these, our brothers and sisters, they are very involved with the Spanish-speaking ministry. And so they are taking Yogananda's teachings out to people who speak Spanish, and not only what they do in their everyday lives and in the city and in their work, but for all of us, we have an opportunity right where God has placed us to make a spiritual community right where we are. And from that magnetism of deep meditation, practicing Kriya Yoga, attunement to the Guru, from that magnetism, it will grow. We've seen it. It will grow, but it starts in the individual heart. It starts with that yearning. And so don't just look and say, oh, if only I was here 50 years ago, and oh, look what they've done. We haven't done anything. Master has done it all through the willing instruments of souls that want to achieve freedom in this life. Freedom. And we also want to raise our families in this spiritual light. We also want to go to work and spiritualize our workplaces in this spiritual light. We want to be those beacons of light. We want to be what Master can use to do whatever he wants to do. We don't have to have an agenda. We can just be joyful, we can be open, and we can practice the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. And Swami Kriyananda has showed us the way. So take it to heart. I think it's thrilling. Here they are, just 3 souls, and they're doing a great work, but they're just doing it humbly and behind the scenes, and just what's in front of them, that's what they're doing. That's what each one of us can do here in India. Don't wait for the great one to come and make it all happen. We're the ones that make it happen. And so we welcome Esther to come up and just talk about the principles of education for life and living wisdom schools and how to raise spiritual children. Why is that important? How can we do that here in India? If she can open 3 preschools in Palo Alto and the Bay Area, then we could do that here maybe. Not maybe, we could. So, so Esther, would you like to come up and speak? Okay, thank you.
Thank you to everybody. I didn't know I was going to speak in Sunday service, but here I am. I think the best way that I can express myself is maybe telling my own story of how everything started. I opened my first preschool 12 years ago, and it was not an EFL, Education for Life, certified school. It was actually through my own children. I have 4 children. The oldest one is 21, and the second one is 18. And I was already part of Ananda, and I used to go a lot to Ananda village, where they have Living Wisdom School over there, and I invited them to come, and I said, just experience, because Yogananda, my path, it was my path, it was not my children's path, but they used to see me. So I said, would you like to come? I would like you to know what is out there. So they went there, and they spent a whole day. They left, we went back to Palo Alto, it's about 4 hours, 3 hours and a half, and they said, we did like it. And nothing else happened. They just stayed there. We did like it. I said, good. I just stay quiet, allow things to happen. But I felt that it was needed for me. I felt responsible for me to show them what was available for them. A year and a half later, I was again in Ananda village. I used to come quite often, especially over the summer. And I said, if there is a summer camp, would you guys like to come? And they say, sure. So they sign up for 1 week of Education for Life summer camp in a living wisdom at the village. And by the end of the 4th day, they came back and they say, we're thinking to stay here. And they look at me and they say, can you make it happen? I remember I just turned around and it was a big picture of Master and I said, can you make it happen? I don't know. I was really shocked. They come from the Bay Area. They are in Palo Alto School, which is extremely competitive. Like, it's one of the top competitive schools. There is not spirituality there, but very high achieving academics. I was shocked. I stayed again quiet and I said, can you make it happen? So they finished the summer camp in August 12th, and the school started in August, 1 week later. So they went back home, they packed, I disenrolled them from the district in Palo Alto, and they moved to the village, both of them. So one was, I don't know if you're familiar with the American system, but one was freshman, as was first year of high school, and the other one was last year of high school. So huge change, because he was ready to apply to all the schools and the universities. That whole year did change them so drastically from inside out that I was, wow. Still now, I mean, I'm talking about it and I get goosebumps, because what is happening? I'm talking about teenagers. I'm talking already about a 14-year-old and a 17-year-old. I'm not even talking yet about the 3 and 4, which it looks to be a little bit easier. So I start getting to get more and more familiar with education for life and what was happening inside of them. I noticed in these schools that when emotionally challenge was happening, that was a priority. School was still running, but when the girls were confronting something inside of them, immediately was taking priority. What is happening? How are you going to face it? Words like, this is an opportunity to see. This is an opportunity to grow. Those were first words that they were introducing to her instead of like, there is a problem here. They used to come home saying, this week I have a new opportunity to see my challenge. Just that sentence was like, whoa, what is happening here? Time goes by and they say, this school is really challenging me. And I say, yes. And I used to hear challenging me academically, and I used to hear challenge me because I have a lot of homework. But no, the answer was, they're challenging me because they're making me see myself inside. And I was like, wow. So I really wanted to know more and more about education for life. At that time, I had already one preschool, and I enrolled myself in going to EFL classes. I started online. I wrote the book that Swami wrote, and after I finished the book, I just felt electricity in. I remember I finished the book, it was probably midnight, and I was full of electricity in my body. Like, I was feeling really, this is something is wanted to happen here. And I just wrote this book, and I felt so much joy and enthusiasm about. Swami says, getting to know God, and I want to know God and I want to share God. And I felt that way with EFL. I felt, I want to know about education for life, and I want to share education for life. And it is true, it did not come from me. I felt that night something very special inside of me. So that's when I started the journey. How I was gonna, first I educated myself. I took some classes. And to see what was happening inside of me as a teacher. And it was great because I have also the girls going through everything with me, but they were already teenagers. Then I was like, how can I share this now? Then I had it in myself. I was able to implement it very well, but when I stepped out, everything was like, again, back to zero. I'm like, So then the way I started doing it is like the teachers were not familiar with Education for Life. In fact, they were not even part of Ananda. In fact, they were not even part of this path. So talking about energy, talking about mistakes are good, mistakes are growth, how we're going to see this challenge. Every challenge is a new joy. It was like, what are you talking about? I started with my super conscious exercise. I am awake and ready. And they were all doing it. But they felt something. They felt the joy. Through this process, I felt Swami enthusiasm. I still feel it. I felt his enthusiasm to make it happen. I said, well, he wrote this book. And this book was based on Yogananda teachings. This book was based on Yogananda, how Yogananda was vision education. So I started implementing 3 times a year. The teachers, they're taking courses, Education for Life. Now, something that I did not mention, my schools, they are not even in Spanish, in English, they are in Spanish. So I don't have Spanish speaker families, but the 3 schools are Spanish speakers. They are completely fluent in Spanish, because for me, English was a challenge. I'm originally from Spain, so English is my second language. So back then, I didn't know the word yet. So back then I said, no, I cannot do it in English. I have to do it in Spanish, because that's the only way I will feel comfortable. So right now, the parents that we have, the families that we have, they're from India, from China, from Europeans. They're a big mix, and they're learning 2 and 3 languages. So that could be another challenge, but I said, no challenge here. Everything started to change slowly by the vocabulary that the teachers were using. They were using words again about energy. They were using words about consciousness, something that they were asking me, what is consciousness? What do you mean by raise our consciousness? And then we start to experimenting with children. And I'm talking about children, sometimes I have even babies, depends of the year. But I will say mostly they are from 2 to 5 year old. And as the teachers were changing the way they were expressing themselves, we discover a whole new world with the children. They start seeing the children in other spots. They start visualizing their growth completely different. They were not, they were challenging them academically, but from a completely different point. The whole thing was based on energy, of raising energy, of starting every day as a new day. Some people ask me, can you give me an example of something basic about Education for Life? And there is something that I really like. It's you ask the children, we're going to go to a field trip. And Education for Life talks about the maturity of a child, which is also related to the maturity of an adult. And they divide it into intellect, willpower, feelings, and physical body. So let's go to a field trip. So the intellect child, we say something like, can I bring my pen? I need a paper. I want a map. Where are we going? They need to see which areas are we going to cover. They need to know the name, the road, and you will see them with the paper and the pencil. The sentimental child will say, can I bring my friend? Are we going to see flowers? Are we going to see trees? And the willpower child will be, are we going to get to the top? I want to accomplish. Who's going to win? They will look in the back, who is there, who's first. But, willpower children, they want to finish. They want to accomplish something. And the physical child will be like, can we run? Can we sweat? Can we really make a race? So the beauty of this was like, they're all going. They're all going, but what is driving them, it's something different. And what Education for Life was offering was like, how can I make the willpower child go? How can I make the intellect, the sentiment child go? And then to implement it in many areas. How we read a book, the body child, they cannot sit and read. But what if we choose a book where it's about an athlete or someone who has won races? Oh, they become very interested. So slowly, the teachers became very interested in this concept of looking. It was almost like looking a child through the soul. They were not labeling the child anymore. It was more through an observation and guidance of what else can we do? What can I do? Oh, look at this child I'm going to name Severin, and Severin is pure body. What can we do for next week when he comes in? We want to teach him the letters, but his full body. What are we going to do? So we used to do sticks. We placed a bunch of sticks, and he was so happy because he was able to move and do the whole alphabet base or even on the floor, because it was very difficult for him to sit down on the table and just with a pen and pencil trace the letters. I was like, no way. That was one big aspect that everybody, all the teachers start seeing like a new window. It was almost that feeling of opening a window and see that child energy in a different way. The other aspect of it was also the progressive, we call it the light child or the heavy child, and it's all based on energy. And always thinking that each of us, and the same with the children, can be very light or very heavy, even in the same day. And always noticing, okay, he's here, how can we bring it up? Versus the old school, he's very blah, 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 and naming and labeling children based on, you label it, then you bring it down. No, we now open the school. We open with the superconscious exercise. We open holding hands and reminding ourselves, the teachers, how we're going to see the children as they come into that door. And every day we start seeing them as light. So every single day, doesn't matter if the day before someone was down here. So what is that taking us? Now it's been 4 years now, 3 years implementing with the teachers. Again, I think where we're leading, where we're going to, is the raising the consciousness. So by raising the consciousness of the teachers, did apply to the students, to the children. And now we started last year, we started offering presentations to the parents. Now, we are very popular now, so it's not a problem of clients or students. Now it's more about getting teachers ready, trained teachers, and do it in such a way, like again, the Bay Area is a little bit challenging because sometimes I cannot open myself into the word God. So I need to open myself into energy, into love, into light, using a lot of the 8 aspects of God. And most important than that, they are doing everything through where they're experiencing themselves. What had changed for you? What had changed for you as a teacher? But even more important than that, how do you feel it had changed to you as a person? The teachers are thrilled right now. I'm being with amazing group. The teachers are not leaving. Before I used to have every year, every 2 years, I have more and more teachers leaving. The last 3 years, no one has moved. Not only that has created a strong base that whoever comes now, they are part of that community. That part of that community that Yogananda, your reading, were saying, create more communities. Keep creating these small places where it's building that energy. Believe me, many times I have said, how am I going to do this? I have 4 children of my own. I work every day. Now I'm working a little bit less in the action with the children, but I used to work from 7:30 to 5 in the schools, and then everything that has to do with payroll, everything else that has to do with running a school. And I used to look at Swami. If, we were also talking, who is your hero? He has been my hero. When I close my eyes and I say, who do you want to be like? And I always said, in my setup, my dharma, which I really feel inside of me, which is education for life, is like, I want to think like Swami. I don't want to think anything less. I want to say, yes, I can do it. And even when I don't know how to do it, all I have to do is to pray. And I say, well, I don't know how to do this. Can you send me someone? I need to have a stronger base spiritually now. So he is always sending me people. I have this amazing, from the village, from Ananda, LA as well. And now it's taking more and more form, but it was after I let go and I say, ask for it. Ask for it. That you cannot manage everything. It's a great opportunity to let go, but allow other energies to come. And that's what has been happening. It's been growing, but it's based on the allowing, the asking for, being the guide. And say, every time that I used to say, I can't do it anymore, I say, what are you talking about? I'm not doing anything. I don't have to do it. Where am I going to get this energy? Where am I going to get these ideas? I don't have to do it. And then I feel, I don't have to do it. It felt good. I remove myself. And I say, God and God is going to do it through me. And this is basically what has been happening. I cannot say, how is Esther doing? I'm just aligning myself constantly with Swamiji, with Guru, feeling a strong sense of this wants to happen. Yes, I do feel that. Having the enthusiasm, yes, I do have a lot of enthusiasm. But it was almost a feeling that Swami is constantly feeding me, and never said no. Who am I to say no? I mean, this is a new age. Education is so important, and we are talking more and more about how important is our childhood. Everything that we become in life later on as an adults. If we have an opportunity to work from very, very early ages, I'm talking about a 2-year-old already being able to say, my energy is a little bit low today. Or saying something even like this, I don't like how you're pushing me. I am feeling sad. Able to express his feelings. I have a almost 6-year-old daughter. And I was actually telling Frank the other day, who was having tantrum after tantrum. She's been raised in my schools, so she's been there since she was born. And I said, what's happening today, Thalia? What's happening today? She stayed quiet, she's still with her tantrums. Half an hour to 45 minutes later, when she was down, she's like, many things were happening to me today. I want to say, okay, say not just one. 3 different things were happening to me today. And I said, oh, what was happening? And she mentioned it to me. I was frustrated because of this. I was sad. Even something that I was not even, it was no relation at that moment. My ex-husband and myself were going through a divorce. And she was telling me, I am upset you're going through this right now. I'm talking about 5-year-old. And I thought she was having a tantrum out of, I don't want avena, I don't want oatmeal, I want milk. And then she was telling me, no, there's 3 different things. I was like, wow. We're really teaching them to the knowledge that she has about herself. The she's able to stop herself and to say, this is what's happening to me. This is why I'm reacting this way. And they are already having tools about breathing. We're teaching them how to breathe. We're teaching them how to do yoga. We're teaching them how to meditate. And it's through games. So how they teach, how they learn inhaling and exhaling is through a straw with a cotton ball. So inhaling, they hold the cotton ball, hold it, and now exhale. They let go of the cotton ball. So everything is like so subtle, it's unseen. But there is all these tools that they are getting at 2, 3, and 4-year-old, which that's what is making the consciousness to be raised. The parents are coming to us. Look, I have this picture of my son meditating in the park. What are you guys doing in the school? We want to know. They're asking now. We want to know what is happening. What is education for life? We're doing presentations to them. So it's just a joy. Now, after 4 years really implementing in this system, we can see the joy of the results. By the body language, by the positive reinforcement. Children at the schools, they see any challenge as an opportunity to grow. Even when they are frustrated, they express themselves that way. I am very frustrated. And I say, I wonder how that feels like. And they look at me and say, that's okay, it's an opportunity to grow. I don't know if they know what they're saying, but that's what they're using in their vocabulary. I say, oh, good. So again, how you guys can do it here in India? Saying yes. Saying yes. Feeling whoever right now is feeling a sparkle inside of them that, ooh, I would like to do that. Say yes. You don't have to you don't have to be an expert. Align yourself to Master, align yourself to Swami. Let that flow. Talk to others. Share to others. I feel I want to do it. How can we do it? I think you guys have 2 amazing people also who I hear more and more wanted education for life, wanted to happen here in India, many other centers in Ananda. And it's a gift. If any of us could be grown like with these tools and be able to share that opportunity right now, to children, little ones, 2, 3, 4, but to teenagers. Somebody was asking me, can you talk about teenagers? I don't like to talk about teenagers because I like teenagers to speak for themselves. I can talk about my daughter's experience. They are very different, but it did happen to them. It did happen even to a 17-year-old who was in a huge transition, and it completely changed her inside. So saying yes, again, saying yes millions of times, even, and constantly through meditation, remind ourselves, who is doing this? Am I doing this? No. Do I want it to happen? Yes. Who am I going to align myself with? Master, Swami. How are we going to get this energy? Through them. Obviously through them. Otherwise, we're always going to say, ooh, but my job. Ooh, but my family. Ooh, by environment, we can't. Yes, we can. Yes, you just need to have that devotion, that faith, that God wants this to happen. We are in Dwapara Yuga. We are raising energy. We are raising consciousness. We need to say yes to raise all that energy and to raise all that consciousness through the world. And what a more important thing than doing it through education. I think that's yeah. So if anybody, I know I'm going to be here later for a little bit, so any questions or anything that you guys would like to know through Education for Life and how to start, you just need to start. I will be more than happy to share with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Esther. That was very inspiring. And the inspiring thing for me, is that you're a mother with 4 children, different ages, living your life, and still taking the most important step of trying to find God within and being a servant for Master and just letting it happen. It takes a lot of courage because we do get bound by our daily lives and our responsibilities and how we think what we think we need to do to achieve and our children need to achieve in this world, but what's the goal? You know, what do we want to achieve? It's so inspiring. Thank you so much for sharing. And afterwards we'll have lunch here back in the temple, and then the 3 of them will speak about the Los Angeles community and the book that you've written, and also you can ask her any questions that you ever wanted to ask about spiritual education and how to start Education for Life schools. So God bless you, and please